91-year-old Clint Eastwood is back at it again, directing another feature film that is supposed to be coming out in theaters and on HBO Max this weekend, and he has decided to go back to his roots for a genre that he's notorious for being in, and that is the Western genre. Welcome back, film fans. This is Let's Be Real with Brad. Today on the channel, I want to talk about the brand new Clint Eastwood Western drama film called Cry Macho. Cry Macho is based off of the 1975 novel of the same name, and it stars Clint Eastwood in the title role. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I was not excited to check this movie out, but Clint Eastwood is considered a legendary actor, filmmaker who has made many classic films in the past before, so I wanted to check this movie out. This movie as a whole was just so disappointing because Clint Eastwood has been so notoriously huge in the Western genre, and he knows it inside and out, and I just felt as though that he didn't have the creative juices flowing for this film, because this is a movie that you have seen 100 times before, and it feels very similar to one of his other films that came out in 2007 called Gran Torino. One of the biggest criticisms I have with this movie is the screenplay. I felt as though that the dialogue was quite mediocre, as there are so many times where characters are over explaining the situation that's going on at hand, even though this movie is very simplistic and one note, so it comes off as very annoying and obnoxious throughout. The characters were very uninteresting, as they're just so simplistic and they're so predictable of where their character arcs are going and the backstories that are revealed. The story is so bland and generic about this old guy who is trying to pick up this kid for a guy that he's working for, but then there's a bunch of twists and turns along the way. It didn't do anything new or fresh or even interesting to keep me involved in this movie. But one of the other aspects I hate about this is that there are so much free time that this movie has, and they don't know what to do with it. So they try to develop our characters and have some slow talking moments. So by the end of the film, I was so relieved that it was over because I was so ridiculously bored while watching it. My next criticism I have with this movie, the acting in this movie was quite mediocre. Clint Eastwood is a great actor, and I felt like in this movie, he just didn't have it all in him, as he does play the same old, grumpy, sarcastic, lonely old man that we have seen him in. His delivery isn't as poignant as it used to be, but for everyone else in this movie, they are ranging from mediocre to really bad, as I felt as though that most of the actors in this movie are playing stereotypes of some of these characters that we're supposed to be. Another negative I have with this movie is the presentation. I felt as though that this movie was handled in a very competent way with the editing, directing, and cinematography, but I just felt as though there was so much they could have done to make this movie a little bit more appealing to the eye. I felt like this movie just did the very standard, competent way of doing things, and that to me was just such a big disappointment. Now, let's get into some of the positives I have with this movie, starting off with the score. I felt as though the score was very strong in this film, feeling like it was able to carry many scenes throughout, as there are some really great scenes in this movie where the score is the only thing you hear and there's barely any dialogue going on, which is something that Clint Eastwood is able to utilize so much in many of his classic movies. The next positive I have with this movie is the production design. Clint Eastwood is able to utilize production design in almost every single one of his films, being able to see all the different locations and being able to see all the different sets they're able to use in this movie, and I thought that it added to the massive location that this movie was able to encompass, and you really do feel like you are there at this certain point in history, and I just thought that this was a really strong aspect of the film. And my last positive with this movie that might feel like it contradicts some of the points I made before is that this movie is trying to be a good movie. Clint Eastwood is doing everything that he can with this movie, and you do feel like he is trying to make a great film. At 91 years old, Clint Eastwood is starring, directing, and producing this movie, which is quite an incredible feature because most people couldn't even be able to do that, and it just shows that Clint Eastwood truly takes care of his body as a temple and his mind, being able to still make movies at this age and still have the energy to do so. I have to give him a lot of credit there, because I think that many directors or actors would not be able to do that, and I think he's able to do most of this in a very competent way. Overall, guys, Cry Macho is a standard generic Western drama film that you have seen before, that does have some good strong aspects to it, with some entertaining and interesting scenes along the way. But I just felt as though that this movie didn't offer me anything new or interesting to move the story along, with its very mediocre to bad screenplay. If you are a big fan of Clint Eastwood and his films, I would check this movie out, as I do think you will have a good time watching it. I am giving Cry Macho a 5 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching. I want to know down below in the comment section, have you guys seen Cry Macho? And if you have, what did you guys think of the film? And let me know, what are some of your favorite Clint Eastwood movies of all time? As always, I will see you all in the following review.